Hello and welcome to the 2021 Shanghai Auto Show. For this video, we are here at the stand for XPeng, where we will be giving you an in-depth look not only at this cool P7 that I'm sitting in now, but also the XPeng G3, as well as the all-new P5, and even a flying vehicle. So be sure to stay tuned. Also be sure to like and subscribe because we've got a lot of 2021 Shanghai Auto Show content coming your way. We'll start our video the way XPeng started, and that is with the G3 compact SUV. This is their first production vehicle, and the thing that I want to point out when we look at it here is up here on the roof. Now, you might be thinking that this must be some sort of LiDAR technology. When we see things like that, we're used to seeing them on, Google mapping vehicles and stuff like that. But in fact, this is actually simply a camera. It is not part of the autonomous driving architecture this car does have, but rather it is used for just taking general photos. It can rotate 360 degrees, and I'm told that it can also gesture sensitive, i.e. you can use hand signals, or inside the car as well, there's a button to make it raise or lower. Personally, regardless of what it is used for, I think it looks very cool. It has a very sci-fi feel that I really love. Before we get to the all-new P5, it's worth mentioning that the XPeng P7 is also here at this stand, including the very cool wing version with the Lambo doors that you saw me open the video with. This version has traditional doors, as you can see, but it does feature XPilot 3.0 autonomous driving architecture, which we got to experience along with NGP, the software component, earlier this year in Guangzhou, and I encourage you to go check out those videos right now. We did want to take a moment to give you guys a look at this. This is the XPeng P7 Wing Edition. The name is kind of self-explanatory. This was a concept car that they came out with some time ago, and it was so popular among consumers that they decided, heck, let's go ahead and make it. I have been able to experiment with the doors quite a bit, both here and in Guangzhou at the P5 debut, and I found it actually very easy to use. It looks very extreme, but it's actually pretty useful, and you just gotta love this color. Now that we have an actual static car to have a look at, we can maybe take our time a little bit more in analyzing some of the changes and evolutionary differences we're seeing on the front-end styling of the P5 versus previous XPengs like the G3 and the P7 in particular. We're starting here with the headlight here on the front end. We have a upper area here which transitions into the same LED strip that we saw on the P7, kind of the signature character of that car's front end. But we have added a very interesting lower area here. When put together, what do they make? Well, they make an X, which makes sense, of course, this being an XPeng. Buried deep inside of here, we can see the actual main projector headlamp as well. And I really like the look of it. It has a very hidden away, tucked away look. Of course, on the front end, the highlight has to be here. That is the LiDAR technology. Gone are the days of the massive unit on the roof of the car. We are now into the future, and that means these small, very discrete units. Of course, as we mentioned in our previous video from the debut, this LiDAR technology is the main upgrade that differentiates the XPilot 3.0 seen in the P7 from the XPilot 3.5 we see here on the P5. They're promising that using this LiDAR technology, XPilot 3.5 and their NGP software component will deliver even better autonomous driving features. Most importantly, it will be able to be used not just on highways, but on city roads as well, which, according to XPeng, should cover some 90% of most users' daily driving experience. Here on the side profile, we see a very similar look to that of the P7, minus the roof line, which is a little bit less coupe-like. We have the same very flowing, smooth looks, obviously for aerodynamic benefits, and I think looking pretty good. We also, from the side and then going into the back, have this blacked out lower area. Now, many of you will know that a lot of modern car designers and car companies will use these darker areas either on the bottom or on the top of the car and the roof to lower the look of the vehicle and make it a little bit more sporty looking rather than being so tall. Here on the rear end, we can also see what I think is the biggest similarity between the P5 and the P7 in terms of design, and that is the rear taillights. The taillights are almost identical, in my opinion, to that of the P7. They're a single, very cool, frankly looking, lightsaber-esque strip of LEDs that terminates here in a very handsome taillight. Unlike the debut, we are going to be able to open the door and get a look at the interior today, though we can't step inside of it, unfortunately. However, you can get a look at some of the design elements. The most important ones, first of all, we have an even larger screen than that found in the XPeng P7. If I remember correctly, this is probably something over 15 inches, perhaps 15.4 inches or so. Very large, very impressive. We also have a screen here, of course, that acts as the instrument cluster for the driver. One of the things that I'm noticing is that the interior, unlike the P5, is a bit more expressive, particularly when it comes to the color choice. You can see that here next to the steering wheel, as well as over here on the door, there are some body color leather that has been put in and plastics, which I love. I hate a car with an all black interior. That is boring. Color makes things better. We can also see from here, and in a moment we'll give you a better look, one of the biggest features, something we talked about in our first videos, is what XPeng refers to as their sleep or movie theater mode. Why don't we take a look from the other side of the car so you can get a better look at what I'm talking about. From this angle, you can see just what I mean when I refer to the sleep mode that I just mentioned. The front seat of the P5 will lay completely flat, and when you remove the headrest, of course, creating kind of a flat surface that you can lay on, and they obviously have even included an optional air mattress here for you. It seems the space is plenty for someone of my height at least to lay very relaxed. Now, I mentioned also a movie theater mode as well, and that was not, that doesn't mean you put your laptop on the dashboard and lay here and watch. If you look right here, that's a projector. This is an optional feature that you can choose for your P5, and it will allow you to project movies onto a screen. Other optional feature, I'm assuming they're a package deal, that will hang down. It's about, I heard, about 42 or 40 plus inches at least of screen size. So you and a friend or a loved one or something could lay both the seats down and enjoy your own drive-in movie theater. Very impressive. Now, when the P5 debuted, I expected it to be much smaller than it is, actually, closer to a compact-sized car, but the size itself is actually very close to the P7, which is a kind of a large mid-size vehicle. 4.81 meters in length, this car is. And so the rear space is much more copious than I expected. Certainly somebody of my height or even much taller than me could ride in here in seemingly quite a lot of comfort. I promised you a flying vehicle, and I am going to deliver. This is the XPeng Traveler X1, which is their autonomous flying car that they've been developing for almost 8 years, or more than 8 years, actually. It's gone through 4 iterations so far, and this is the latest. Currently, it is only for limited scenarios, i.e. Emergencies like rescuing or kind of sightseeing. It would be very popular, I imagine, in travel destinations like Sanya in southern China. I would enjoy using it very much. Of course, the important thing is that it represents XPeng's comprehensive approach to mobility. They're not just working on cars, much like all the other leaders of the industry. They are considering the future, and that includes urban air mobility like the X1 behind me.
This was developed by XPeng Tech and is already in its 4th generation, having successfully completed over 150,000 trips.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's video from the XPeng stand at the 2021 Shanghai Auto Show. Be sure to like and subscribe because we have a ton more content from the auto show coming your way in the next few days.